Lesson 60 to 65 in Learn Violin Fast, Book 3. This is part 6, Learning Half Position. Half position is used very seldom, or not a lot, and it's usually used to prevent having to move fingers around, mainly your index finger from a low to a regular position. Half position means the index finger is in the low position, the middle finger is in the regular 1 position, and your ring finger is usually where the high 2 is. So essentially, if you think of it as you're going to take your regular tapes and you're going to move everything down. So there is no 0 position. So if you take your, what would have been on the regular tape 1, second tape 2, and then a second tape 3, if you move everything low, essentially that's half position, and your middle finger could go next to the low 1 on the first tape, or it could go above the tape, and your third finger will go in between the tapes. So that is called half position. So G sharp minor scale going up, left hand map, the typical half position key. So this is, you see this a lot in orchestral music where there is some keys with lots of sharps or lots of flats. And also you see this in musicals. If you ever played in like a high school musical or a middle school musical, there'll be a lot of keys to make the voicings work where you just have a lot of sharps and you end up having to use half position. So according to the map, you notice there's X's on all of the above the nut, so there's no open strings in half position. Your 1 is going to go low. Your 2 could go either on the first tape, or it could go it could go above the first tape, or it could go right on the tape. And your third finger usually goes where the high 2 was, where the second tape was, and then your 4 will go low. Please note that in this key there are no open strings, as we said, G, D, A, and E, because they're all raised by a half step. Note that on G and D for G sharp minor scale, on G, D, and E strings, the 2 is in low position. And that, while in the A string, it's in the regular index finger position, right? So you're going to move, the 2 moves around. And then also note that on the ring finger, on the D string, it's in regular position. So on the D string, your 3 is going to be regular, but on G, A, and E strings, it's in low position, meaning your ring finger is usually where the high 2 is. Right? So you're going to have a really low 3, and then your 3 will move up. All right, we're going to move along, and we're now going to play G sharp minor scale in 2 octaves. So there's a new symbol here that you haven't probably seen before. In measure 2, there's a sharp on E, and then there's an X on F. So the X, when you see an X next to a note, that means a double sharp. It means it's a half step raised and another half step raised. So I'm going to play number 62. G sharp minor scale, and then we're going to talk about it. Now you'll notice that the scale going up and coming down is not the same. That is because when we usually play scales as part of our technique, we would play the melodic minor. And I mentioned that before, that the 6th and 7th note of the scale is going to be raised a half step going up, but it's going to be lowered coming down. So this also creates some interesting fingering patterns. Right now let's listen and watch the G sharp minor scale in 2 octaves, and then we'll talk about it. So the reason half position or G sharp minor scale is really difficult is inherently it's still half and whole steps. So if you think about it from one perspective, it's same as just the easy twinkle fingerings. But the reason it's tough is, number 1, your fingers are squished back. Number 2, your fingers have to go where they're usually not used to going. So if you think about us being creatures of habit, things that are easy is things that we do all the time. But because this is all new and we don't use it as much, just the fact that our fingers go into different positions than what we're used to is going to make it much more challenging. And then also, just your hand is farther away. All right, so we're going to start, and I'm going to talk through what I'm playing. So this is G sharp, so this is a low 1. A sharp, a low 2. It's also B flat, so just a regular low 2. It's a B, so B, it's the third finger is in the place of a high 2. C sharp, low 4, D sharp. E sharp is an F natural, so low 2 holds it from low 1. F double sharp is just a G natural. And then G sharp, which is a low 4. A sharp is 1. B natural is going to be a 2. So we're not playing a B on the A string with the 1, we're playing it with a 2. C sharp is a low 3. D sharp is a low 4. E sharp, that's the raised 6th note. low 1. So E sharp is same as F natural. F double sharp is a G natural. And then G sharp is a low 3. Now coming down, the double sharp on F goes to just F sharp. So now a regular 1 on the first tape 2 is... Now, the next note is E natural. So we're just going to play open E. And on the way down, we're skipping the first finger. Low 4 for D sharp. Low 3 for C sharp. B natural, low 2. A sharp, low 1. G sharp, low 4. F sharp, low 3. E natural, low 2. D sharp, low 1. C sharp, low 4. B natural, low 3. A sharp. So high 2, or the 2 is going to be on the first tape, and then G sharp, I apologize, it's an A sharp. So it's a low 2, B flat, A sharp, and then a G sharp. Okay? Number 63, G sharp minor arpeggio. So this one is not too bad. It's the same going up and down. So there's going to be 1s, low 3s, and then there's a low 4. So number 63. So squeezing that 2 really low on the A string is probably the most challenging part here. All right, this is number 64, exercises in half position. Previous exercise that I just played, the 1, I did have to move the 1 to in E natural to a regular position on the D string. So this is number 64, exercise D, the last line of page 52. It's low 3, low 4, low 2, regular 1. So that's very tricky, right? But if you just squeeze the 1 under, you will get it. So again, at the bottom of 52, page 52, that measure is... We're moving on to page 53. This is rehearsal E of lesson 64. So if you need to, pencil in the fingering, but the beginning there is penciled in for you. And if you don't need it, great. If you do, pencil it in. Moving on to exercise F. Now, if you're struggling with this, keep the following in mind. You will normally never play in half position for this long. These are just exercises to help us get used to half position, but most of the time in actual music, you'll maybe have it for one measure, maybe for one line, but you'll never play in half position quite for this long. Again, this is just for exercises and for the purpose of building our technique. All right, we're moving along. This is rehearsal G on page 53. And last of this lesson, we have lesson 65, exercise, first and half positions. So this exercise is, we start in first, but then we go to half, and then we'll go back to first. So this is much more likely what you'll see in real music, mainly in orchestral playing, but this is much more realistic of what you'll encounter, not what came before. That was just an exercise. So we start number 65 with the regular 3. We're making sure we're listening for force vibration. Again, we're checking our positions, checking our tension, our shoulders, our elbows. Every single time we begin playing. The only way to be not really tense when we play is to constantly train ourselves and be in the habit of checking our tension and positions and posture. So you'll notice how the third line, we started in first position and we pulled the one back for just one note, but in third line, we went down to E sharp and we stayed there. So from the third line to the fourth until the very end, we were in half position. I hope this is not too confusing. If you need help, go back to previous lessons, watch, do. Again, these are all basic techniques of half and whole steps, now interposed, really just transposed in different positions. But I hope this all makes sense. I hope you're able to not get overwhelmed with this. If you do, this is something that is quite advanced and you're not going to see this a lot in music, in a lot of other music. So if this is really confusing, you can skip ahead and come back to this. This is quite difficult, quite challenging, but I think it's important to know what these techniques are, so at least they stay in your mind, and when you encounter them in music, whether it's chamber, orchestral, or solo, it's not new anymore. So even if you try this and it's still confusing, don't worry about it. You can come back to this later. But I think just at least an introduction to this was very important. So I hope this helps. I hope you're still excited to learn, and I'll see you in the next video.